Greetings, digital world. Welcome back to another wonderful Christmas episode of Spliced In Later. Here with your host, Jordan, and another host here. I don't know if you can hear him. My new cat, Winston, is sitting here. Can you say hello, Winston? Yes, he also loves movies, and he will be joining me today while I do another Christmas recommendation in our countdown to Christmas Day. This will be another short, sweet episode. Not too much to go into here because it's not a very long movie to talk about, but it's keeping in the Christmassy spirit. It's focusing on a movie that did not make my top 12 days of Christmas. And looking back at it, I think it's just because I forgot this movie existed, but it was an absolute favorite of mine as a child. I recently decided to give it another go, and while, it certainly shows its age in terms of animation quality and story and whatever, gosh darn it, did it not make me feel nostalgic. So we're going to talk about it this week. We are going to do a spotlight. And what's the spotlight on, Winston? That's right. Loosely translated, it's Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the movie. I'm really not sure how many people are familiar with Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the movie, because there are so many of them. You may think that you've seen the one I'm talking about, and it turns out you've seen a completely different one. I remember when I was younger, I had this movie on video, and it was on constantly, not just at Christmas time, though it's certainly got its work out in the leading up to Christmas Day, but it was on all through the year. It was just a wonderful, lovely little movie with voices that as a kid I recognized, even though I couldn't name them, unlike now when I know who people are, and very catchy songs that got me in the Christmas spirit. Of all the Christmas movies I've watched with musical songs and whatever, this is the movie where I think it has the most genuine Christmas soundtrack, song, feeling, however you want to do it, that is its own original Christmas songs. If you look at other Christmas movies where there's plenty of Christmas songs throughout, but it's all Christmas carols, it's all the songs we're familiar with, Jingle Bells, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, Let It Snow, White Christmas, all of that stuff. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the movie, has its own soundtrack with its own songs. The songs only last about a minute and a half, some cases only 30 seconds worth of dialogue, and the rest is just Christmas sounding music. But it's all very earwormy. It really sticks in your head. I knew the words to all the songs now rewatching it, like when I did when I was younger. And I think the last time I watched this movie, I think I was 10 years old, maybe a little older, but not too much. There's a point where video started transferring to DVD, which of course meant that everybody had to go out and get their DVD players, start buying their DVDs. I did transfer a lot of videos onto DVDs before I could start actually getting videos to DVDs, but there was a point where I just gave up. I just moved on with my life. The video, the VCR, was thrown in the garage somewhere with a few stray videos that didn't make the transfer, and I'm pretty sure that poor old Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer was in there. Since then, I have tried to rewatch it again when the feeling has occurred. Often, many years, I've gone to JB Hi-Fi to do my Christmas shopping and lining up to buy all my presents. All the Christmas movies are lined up, and Rudolph was always there, and it was only $9, and I always thought, next year, I'm going to buy it and rewatch it. And I fought that for 4 years in a row before I finally decided to do it. I don't know why. Probably because I'm cheap. Probably because I thought I could spend that $9 on lunch the next day, and that was more important than Rudolph. But, Christmas, we got a Christmas bonus. Why not throw an extra $9 on this movie? I finally convinced myself to do it. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, a poster for this movie will be up, so you should be able to see it and confirm whether or not this is the Rudolph movie that you remember that I'm talking about. As I said, there are several. The most common one is a stop-motion animation one. I believe it's Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and the Mighty Elves in some sort of adventure or whatever. I hear it's the best one. I've not seen that one. I often got the movie I wanted to watch confused on TV with another stop-motion animation, and in my younger mind, I didn't realize that the story that I watched in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is not hardcore Santa facts. In this movie, Rudolph is the son of Blitzen, one of the famous reindeer. In the stop-motion Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer that I saw, Blitzen is not Rudolph's father. He is just a very angry old reindeer who is upset that Rudolph's getting all the attention and basically wants to murder him. So I remember watching that and going, that's not right. I feel uncomfortable. Furthermore, in the movie I watched, Vixen is a man. In that one, Vixen is a female. Two very different vixens with two very different attitudes towards Rudolph, which, again, a young, undeveloped brain couldn't handle it. So I decided that this was not a movie to watch because it was not correct to Santa mythos. Now, I don't know which one of these movies came first. I also don't know if there's an actual, genuine Santa mythos. I'm sure if I went online, there would be the North Pole Wiki or something, in the same way that there's a Game of Thrones Wiki. And there would be what people would consider the definitive history of Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus and the reindeer and the elves. And maybe that will confirm if Rudolph is indeed the spawn of Blitzen or not. But I don't think I'll go looking for that. And I'm getting off track. Let's get circling back to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the movie. It is a made-for-TV movie. I do not believe this went to the cinemas. But it has a pretty solid voice cast. Mainly John Goodman, Whoopi Goldberg, Eric Idle, Bob Newhart. I think Richard Simmons is in here too. Whether you decide that that is a famous person or not, up to you. I'm aware of him, but I was not alive to really care about Richard Simmons. But I am alive now to care about John Goodman, Whoopi Goldberg, Eric Idle. And Bob Newhart, basically because he's such a memeable comedian. I love his sort of deadpan stand-up comedy that he does, and it is present in his character here. He voices a polar bear. Basically, it's a very simple movie based entirely on the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer song. Rudolph is a young reindeer. He is born. He has a glowing red nose. Everybody shuns him for it. He feels bad about it. Eventually, through a series of events, he gets given the chance to pull reindeer sleigh. He uses that nose to light the way and proves that differences are good and don't be jerks and make fun of people. And everybody loves him now because they got something out of him, I suppose. But yeah, that's basically it. But of course, it's a very short song with a very simple point. So there is conflict added into this movie to give that song, Goodbye Winston, that perfect storm, everything that's going on. There's a reason and a rhyme to it all. Because basically, Whoopi Goldberg voices a character called Stormella, sort of a mix between the White Witch of the Chronicles of Narnia and the Greek god of wind, if there was one, or a snow witch or whatever. Very grumpy woman who lives on the North Pole and is the one that controls storms. Not snow itself, but just the speed and ferocity at which it hits. If she's in a good mood, snow falls calmly and everything is fine. If she's annoyed, terrible storms. In the movie, she's presented as crabby and lonely and annoyed, and she's just waiting for an excuse to throw in a gigantic storm that's going to ruin Christmas for everybody. She hates Santa Claus because he's so jolly and happy. She sings a lovely song about it. And she's determined to prove that he's nothing, and without the presents, Christmas is nothing, and there's no point to joy and love and anything like that. So she's lurking away in the background there. Some elves piss her off, destroy her ice garden, and she threatens Santa. She says, if anything pisses me off again, storm's coming, Christmas is ruined. She makes that threat, and then I think 10 years pass, because she does this when Rudolph is a little baby. Meanwhile, Rudolph is a little baby. He has his little nose, and everybody immediately starts mocking him for it, reindeer and elves alike, pretty savagely. I mean, it's just a red nose, but people treat it like he's got the plague or something, and he should really be ashamed of it. But whatever, it's just a nose. Anyway, I learnt the moral of the story from the song. So then we flash along forwards, and he literally competes in the reindeer games. It's another great part of the movie. It's basically just a series of Olympic events for reindeer. His nose lights up when he is angry or scared or annoyed, and that lighting up of his nose leads to incidents in the races that gets him disqualified. And again, he feels terrible about it. Everyone mocks him for it, so he runs away from home. While he's running off from home and his friends are looking for him, they cross paths with evil Stormella. They piss her off when she explicitly said, "Don't piss me off." And she unleashes her storm. Terrible, absolutely extravagant. Santa can't get through the storm to deliver presents. But he also can't ask Rudolph straight away, "Please help me guide the sleigh," even though John Goodman has noticed plenty of times through the movie, "That's a glowing red nose. I'm going to use that one day. I won't make the kid feel better, but I'm going to use it someday." He's off hiding in an ice cave where he meets a fox called Slyly, voiced by Eric Idle, who when I was a kid thought it was Danny DeVito. I was shocked to rewatch it and realize that was not Danny DeVito. I think it's Eric Idle doing a very impressive Danny DeVito impersonation. Watching it now, I can absolutely say, okay, that's not Danny DeVito. And with respect to Danny DeVito, that's not even near to him. But Eric Idle does not sound like Eric Idle. If you're unfamiliar with Eric Idle, he's one of the Monty Python lot. He's the one who sings most of the songs. Always look on the bright side of life. That's Eric Idle. He's the character that sort of tries to get Rudolph to embrace being alone and not trusting anybody. Things could be worse, he says. Don't trust anyone. Life's better when you're on your own. Friends are for suckers, even though it's very clear that he's going to become his friend moving along. And then they also run into Bob Newhart's polar bear, who's the complete opposite to what a bear should be. He's warm, caring, cuddly, and kind. Then they discover that Rudolph's love interest has been kidnapped by Stormella, so they go on a big quest to rescue her, which of course leads to the series of events where they get back to the North Pole and then Rudolph gets to fly the sleigh. I won't give you every single plot detail because there's not much here in 80 minutes, but if you are interested in giving it a watch, I don't want to tell you everything so you'll just be watching and going, yep, beat for beat, this is what Spliced In Later said. I've become bored. On a rewatch before I got ready for this podcast, it's not a great movie. It's not the greatest movie in the world. It's basically on nostalgia that I'm recommending it to everybody, but it's also lovely and heartwarming. You can watch a movie that's not 100% perfect and still appreciate it for what it is. The point of this movie is definitely for children, and it is to get them in the Christmas spirit. It's to teach them about Christmas. It's to tell them the things that they're familiar with. They're familiar with Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. They're familiar with elves, Santa Claus, the sleigh. All of that's in here. As I said, the soundtrack is great. There's a song in here, Simply Having a Wonderful Christmas Time. According to the back of the DVD, he was nominated for an award. Doesn't say which award, but apparently it was nominated for an award. I'm sure you could find most of these songs on YouTube if you're curious, but as I said, they are earworms. They're catchy, they definitely get you in the Christmas spirit, and they will be in your head probably until Christmas Day, perhaps even further along. The animation is, for when it was made, fine. It's definitely not as low budget as some things are these days. As it is, it's the same sort of 2D animation you've got from Disney. Effort has been put into it though. This is not something where they're barely moving and the voice acting isn't emoting. There's a genuine feel that this movie is being made just for the spirit of Christmas, which is great. I love it. I think it's good. I don't think many people have seen it. I don't think many people will see it because it's probably not readily available. I don't think you can pick it up on streaming services or anything like that. But look, it's an oldish film that no one really has any rights for. You can probably find it on YouTube. Have a look on YouTube. Will not take up much of your time. It's basically if you're just looking for some new Christmas content, if you're sick of watching the same movies over and over again. We've seen the Santa Claus over and over again. We've seen the Grinch. We've seen Elf. If you're looking for something simple and new, this would be the one for you. And if you watched it as a younger kid, then you'll get some nostalgia in it for sure. I think it's nice. I think it gave me the warm Christmas fuzzy feeling, and I thought this was something that I wanted to share with the people, whether they cared or not. It's my show. I can do what I want. And there we are. Thank you very much. Another Christmas week down. We are now 2 weeks to Christmas. Next week, I will be throwing in a discussion, a controversial discussion, I believe, on what it means to be a Christmas film. With, of course, focusing specifically on the number one example that causes so much argument, mistrust, discussion, fear amongst all the Christmas people. I'm all over the fence on this one. I had a very strong stance on it last year, but I'm re-evaluating my position, so I will be coming at you with a brand new opinion next week, so tune in for that one. But until then, thank you all for listening. I love and appreciate you as always. Merry Christmas again. I hope you have a chance to go watch Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer or listen to some Christmas carols. Get in that Christmas mood because it's coming faster than we would like. You've been spliced in later. Adios, muchachos. I'll catch you next time.